Okay, beautiful. Looks like we're hitting a nice number close to 150. So I will go ahead and get started. Hello, everyone. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, depending on where you're tuning in from. And welcome to today's new features webinar, where we'll be showing you all of the new and exciting features that we've released this past month. My name is Adney, and I'm a customer experience manager here at Monday.com. I'd also like to introduce my colleagues, John and Mike, who will be supporting today's demo and answering questions for all of you behind the scenes. So thanks, John and Mike. We see you. We appreciate y'all. So you should be able to see my screen and hear me, but if that's not the case at any point, please let us know by writing in the chat box so we can get it resolved as quickly as possible. Additionally, if you have to step away at any point during the webinar, no worries. This session will be recorded for you to watch at your leisure, and it will also be available at the Monday Academy from next week on, which I'll show you how to get there at the end of the webinar. So today's session will be made up of two parts. First, we'll take a look at our new features in action, and then we'll move into a live Q&A to answer your questions. Throughout the demo, please be sure to add your questions in the dedicated Q&A box at the bottom of the screen, instead of the general chat section that we were just discussing on, as we're not really going to be monitoring the chat section for questions. Of course, we will try to get to as many questions as we can. That said, there are a lot of us today, so if we don't get to your specific question, please feel free to check out our user community at community.monday.com, as it's likely someone else has already asked your question there and had it answered. And finally, you will be emailed a recording of today's session within our CSAT survey in 3 business days. So let's jump right in and take a look at today's agenda. We have some really exciting updates to cover today. Mainly, we have updates with work forms, some new layers to our automation activity logs, improvements with transferring integration ownership, and our app of the month log back, and a whole lot more. So with all of that being said, let's jump into my Monday.com account and get started. So I'd love to start with an awesome addition to Workforms. We now have a new welcome page that helps introduce and provide context for your forms before those submitting the form even start filling out information. So let's open my form right here and let's add this new feature. So for my PTO request form, I want to have a way to inform my employees and colleagues about certain weeks where coverage is really low for the team. Therefore, kindly discouraging to avoid PTO during this time. Now, with our welcome page, we can do exactly that before users even start the form. So from here, I clicked Edit Form, and then I'm going to go to Customize. Here on the right-hand side, you'll now see that we have a welcome screen section where you can opt to use it right here, and then customize a title, description, and you could even change the start button if you'd like. So let's put in some information here, play with it, and see what it ends up looking like. First, I'm going to check off Use Welcome Screen. And for my title, I'll say PTO Request Form. For my description, this is where I'll put a bit of a notice. So I'll say attention. Low coverage from November 6th to November 10th. And then you can even customize the start button. So let's be a bit quirky. I'll write something like ready for, maybe not all caps, ready for vacation. There we go. Awesome. So now let's preview this form now that we've saved these changes. And let's see what it looks like on the user's end. So now once they open your form, they'll see the notice that you put in low coverage from November 6th to November 10th, and they can press ready for vacation. and get started filling out their information to request some PTO, have some time to relax. Sweet. A welcome page really can come in handy, and it will be helpful if you need your audience to be aware of crucial information like dates or notices before filling out a form. So staying on forms, we do have another new feature that will be super useful. We are now able to set response limits in work forms. And before, form creators did not have an option to cap form responses, which really could be useful for specific instances like event planning, for example. So if you want to have an event for 30 people, then you would want to be able to close the form automatically once the number of submissions reaches 30. But now you can. So once we click Edit Form here, which I'll show you again, Edit Form, and we go to Customize, under Form Restrictions, this is where you'll see under Trial Features, we have an option to set a response limit. So once we check this box, we can indicate a form submissions cap of our choice. So let's say 15. Now, once 15 responses get submitted, anyone who accesses this form after that cap, they'll see a page similar like this. So it'll say submissions for this form are now closed, and we're no longer accepting submissions. Beautiful. So those are our updates with work forms. Now, let's take a look at a new addition that will help our troubleshooting adventures when looking at automations. So before, we could only see if an automation or integration succeeded or failed, and that was it. That really made it quite hard without intervention to troubleshoot longer or complex workflows. The problem was that we couldn't see if only a part of the automation failed or where exactly the problem was within each layer of the automation. But now you can see the status of every trigger, condition, and action in our automations. So let's take a look at what this would look like in action. So I headed to my automations here, and you can see that I have an automation set for when a status changes to done. It will set my completion date to today, notify myself, and then we'll move that task to our launch group. So as you can see, this automation has one trigger and 3 actions, which means there are 4 overall opportunities for success or failure. So let's head to my main table and let's trigger this automation, and then we can see what the result looks like in our activity log. So let's take milestone-execution and mark it as done. This should set our completion date to today, and it also moved it to our launch group, and you can see that I got notified right here. Hooray. So now let's take a look in our activity log to see what exactly happened behind the scenes. If I go to my activity log here, you can see that it's marked as success as an overview, but then we can expand this to see each trigger and action, to see every step that went through successfully. So if a certain action or trigger were to fail, then you would see something similar to this. It would show fail as an overview, and then you'd be able to expand and see where exactly it failed. And you can have an option to report this to our support team immediately with all of the relevant information, IDs, pre-prepared and sent over to our team to look over. This is definitely a game changer to really help us hone in on what's going wrong, where, and it puts more power to all of you to better understand what's happening behind the scenes before you reach out to our team for further support. So next up, I want to take some time to discuss a new update with our board views. So while we cannot demonstrate this change, it is definitely very important for all of you to be aware of. So up until now, updates on board views were not pushed to the other users viewing it. And that means that there was actually no update implemented on any of the actions on a board view. So when a user created a view saved filters, or deleted a view, it only arrived to other users after they did a refresh. And this really caused some generally weird behavior, like other users working on an already deleted view, needing to actively refresh to see someone else's updates, and a lot more just strange use cases. But now we've implemented a pusher service for all board views. So users will receive live updates on created views, deleted views, updated views, and more. So when a user is working on a view that is deleted while another person is working on it, the user will receive some kind of notice and be redirected to the main table. I'm really, really excited about this feature, and I'm looking forward to see how we can continue to make board views more robust. So heading back to my monday.com account, I'd love to introduce another neat feature that will save you some clicks. So if you click on the plus sign here to add a column, now instead of clicking more columns and then searching through our column center and then finding the right one and clicking add to board, there's no more doing any of that, no more searching or scrolling. Now we can just press this plus sign and search what we need right here. And we can find that column and we can add it immediately. So definitely saves you some clicks. An amazing, quick, small, but mighty addition. So now moving on, we do have another safety feature, which will also save some time. So let's say that we accidentally delete a board view and we want to bring it back to life. This used to be previously irreversible, but now after we delete a board view, like so, we're able to board activity log. And if we do miss this undo option from before, like I said before, it was irreversible, but now I can go to my activity log for my entire board. I can see that I deleted this board view, and we can have an undo option that lasts a lot longer than that notice that goes away pretty quickly. So then we can press undo, and when we click on, see that board view came back, and then if we go back to the log, this undo option will be grayed out. So definitely now there's no need to jump through so many hoops to recreate complex board views after some accidental deletion. And we have some insurance now, some safety and security if we accidentally do something like that. So next up, we do have a feature that I'm sure will also save a lot of headaches in all of our futures. We're now able to transfer integration ownership. So beforehand, we were only able to transfer automation ownership seamlessly when deactivating a user. And then we had to recreate all integrations from scratch, but this is no longer the case. So now we can actually transfer automations and integrations of a user when deactivating them. So when an admin goes to deactivate a user, you'll now see a notice like this. So this is similar to an update we made before, where it'll show you that it'll actually deactivate all of the automations and integrations of SpongeBob, so to say. And it'll give you a chance to choose a new owner who will now take ownership of these automations and now integrations as well. One thing, though, is that the integrations, they will remain deactivated until I come in. If I'm getting assigned as a new owner, I have to come in and manually reactivate them for each integration recipe. And then I have a chance to input my own integration credentials while keeping the structure of the initial integration. So we don't have to redo everything from scratch, and it will definitely save some time with carrying these integration recipes over. It is important to note that only static integrations are supported at this time. App integrations by monday.com are supported, like Jira and GitHub, and also marketplace integrations are supported. But if we do have any kind of custom automations with a Gmail, Slack, or Outlook action, those are actually not supported in this new update, and those will need to be rebuilt from scratch. Beautiful. So let's head here. And I'd love to make our way to my work to walk through another new addition. So now we've added a priority column to be displayed in my work. And as you all know, my work only grabs the most relevant columns. So you can have a bird's eye view of your team or individual progress on tasks at a high level, easy to scan. But now, among the few columns that my work uses, the priority column will be now one of them. So you can see the priority of each task alongside its progress and its state, who's assigned to it, what board is it coming from, etc. So you can customize to choose different status or priority columns to be displayed. But one thing is that we cannot choose the same status to operate as both a status column and a priority column. So one moment as I take a quick water break, excuse me. Thank you for your patience there. All right, so next up, we do have another wonderful addition to the admin section that allows you to have a centralized view of all app download requests from our apps marketplace. So when users want to install a marketplace app on their account or their workspace, they need to send a request to their admin to install it. But until now, admins never really had a centralized place to monitor these requests, and they might even miss these requests and eventually ignore them. So we are really happy to address this and provide admins this familiar place to keep track of all app download requests. So in the admin settings, you'll see if you go to the app section, you'll now see a dedicated tab for pending installs. This is where admins can now see all open app requests. This will provide for better monitoring of app requests and just make things a lot easier for admins to keep track of what's going on with the apps that users are requesting. So now once a team member makes a request, admins will get notified through an in-platform notification and the bell icon, and also emails as well. So let's take a step away from the browser and discuss a bit about our mobile app. So we are now offering an option for Android users to be able to pause notifications straight from the mobile app. From the notification settings menu, you'll be able to pause notifications for a specific time of your choice from the list, or you could even set a custom time. The notifications will turn back on automatically after this chosen time frame. And there will also be a tooltip for discoverability. So you'll receive a notice on where it is when you first log in to your updated mobile app on Android. So definitely set some time to give those notifications a break when you're off from work. You need to unplug, recharge, and in the future, we do hope to include working hours and more customization options here. So heading back to our Monday.com account, I'd love to close off by introducing our app of the month, which is Logback. So let's head to our apps marketplace and let's dive into this time saver of an app and see what it looks like from the beginning, from scratch. So once you head here, you will see Logback will be right here in the featured section, but we also can look it up as well. And I forgot to mention, but to go to our apps marketplace, all we have to do is click this jigsaw puzzle piece in the top right corner. And I want you to think of Monday.com's apps marketplace as our equivalent to Apple's App Store or Google's Play Store. a place for certified third-party developers to create and share applications for all Monday.com users to enjoy. So just like the other app stores that you all are familiar with, some apps are free, some require payment, and you can, of course, trial all of them. And from here, of course, let's go back and let's find our app of the month, Logback, and let's download it and get started. Let's give it a second to load. While this is loading, I'll remind everyone if they have any questions on their mind to throw that question in the Q&A dedicated section in Zoom, and we will be getting to those questions in just a couple of minutes. It's always the demos. When things take too long to load or some issues pop up, I'll go ahead and re-click it again, see if that helps. Let's do a refresh. Sorry about the delays here. Okay, let's go back to Logback. Here we go. So all we have to do once we get to an app page, we can just click Add to your account. And here you can choose which workspace you want to apply it to, if you want to do all workspaces or only a specific workspace. And then you can also provide some permissions as well. So I do want to take a bit before we install to talk a bit about Logback. So Logback, you can easily, quickly restore board activities with a single click. So this gives you access to activity logs since the time of creation for the board that you've added the app onto. You're also able to filter activity logs based off of specific date ranges. And all of this is done using a format that's already similar to our native activity log and intuitive to how it already works. But what's new is that we can now restore unintended changes, like mistakenly modifying column values for multiple items in one click. We can also restore previous actions like previous column values, item location, item names, and a lot more. So let's go ahead and officially add this to our account and let's see what it looks like in action. So I'll go ahead and choose our workspace. And you can choose the board as well. And then you can see Logback, similar to many other apps, will add a new board view where you could then use the app in this view. So it'll start by giving you a quick demo through this GIF showing how to use it. If you want to learn more, you can click that as well. But let's just dive in and learn about it together. So heading back to my main table, I did want to talk about batch actions. So batch actions, they're really helpful because you can use it to make the same adjustment apply to many items at once. However, it is pretty common that when all of these items are checked off, for some people, maybe it's tens, hundreds of items, that if we accidentally make some kind of column change that we didn't intend, and we also miss this undo button, it does become a bit of a headache to go in and manually update all of these changes based off the history that we see in the activity log, manually make those changes. It's a really big pain point for users. So now with Logback, if I do make some kind of batch action mistake, I can go ahead and go to this view and I can locate that batch action mistake and restore it immediately. So let's go ahead and see, I've accidentally highlighted all these items, and let's change the completion date all to May 3rd. So now I'm panicking. I don't know what to do. Oh my gosh, it's all May 3rd. It's going to be a pain to change everything back. But instead, I can actually just go to log back. And I can see, okay, all these items got changed to May 2nd. So I can go ahead and highlight all of them. You can see some of these were blank before, and I could just restore them. And each row will be looked at as one log. So we're restoring 10 items, so that would be 10 logs. Now we can go back to our table and we can see all of our completion dates are looking perfectly fine, as they did just a couple seconds ago. How nice is that? So now what's even nicer is that we can actually filter past activities as well by date range and restore data from weeks or even months in the past. So let's check out some activity around mid-July. Let's go back to July. Let's see what was happening around this time frame, see if we have anything here. All right, so it looks like we have some items that were moved to groups. Maybe if I want to click all of these items that are moved and change the status back, you move this item too, change this status, you can go ahead and do that. And now this will restore the data from what it used to be back in July, but in one click. So you can see Project Aaron was moved back, some other items had their status changed, and so on. So this really is just the start of what Logback can do. So I really recommend giving this app a trial run and seeing for yourself how it can benefit your team. Okay, thank you all for your engagement so far. This does complete the new features presentation part of our session. We'll be moving into the Q&A shortly. So if you haven't had a chance, please be sure you add your questions in the Q&A box. I'm going to take a quick 2-minute break, and then we will get started. Be right back. All right. Hello. Thank you for your patience. I am looking through some of our questions here. Let's see what we could dive into. So I have a question from Karen. Is the undo on the activity log just the last activity? That's a great question. So let's try deleting 2 board views, and let's see if it only allows us to restore the latest one or if it allows us to restore both. So I'll go ahead and delete this one, and let's delete this scan view as well. So now going to my activity log, you can see that we actually have an option to restore both. So it won't be only the last activity. We can go ahead and restore the Gantt and the project dashboard. So it will be all of the board views which you've deleted thus far. And it will span for as far as your activity log goes, which should be indefinitely. So hope that helps. We are a bit low on questions, which is surprising. We have more than 100 folks here, so definitely put your questions in the Q&A box. We have plenty of time to tackle everybody's question. Okay, let's see. A lot of these questions are feedback, which I will be marking internally. But I'm looking to see if there's any questions that will help everybody. Okay, I have a question from Kaylee. Kaylee's saying that she loves the automations in Monday, but when we have a lot of them, it's hard to keep track. Is there a feature that allows us to manually sort automations for visual clarity, or even to reproduce those automations? Looks like your question disappeared from the Q&A, but I'm going to go ahead and tackle my take on what I've read so far. So I know when automations really become hard to track, it may be annoying to find a way to reproduce automations from one board to another because we can't really copy and paste automations, and we don't have a way to sort through them. We can search through if you have like 50 many automations. The search box does become really handy, so you could use that here as well. But when it comes to reproducing these automations and sorting them in different boards, in different workspaces, maybe even different Monday products, we do have a way to create an automation template. So let's say I wanted to reproduce this automation here in another board and save myself the time of not using this structure or reproducing this structure every time. What we can do is click these three dots, go to save as a template, and then we could rename this. So I'm going to name this Kaylee test, and I'll create that template. It'll say successfully saved as a template. And now if I go to another board, let's even say in a whole different workspace altogether, or let's stay in this workspace for now. Let's go to my contacts board. If I wanted to grab that structure from before, I can go into my automation center and I can look up your name, Kaylee, and it looks like it is not there. You know what? Let's actually go into my demo account because I'll have admin privileges here to see all of my automation templates. So let's similarly create a template here, hopefully on a board where something loads. Okay, so let's say we want to copy this one. I'll save this as a template. Also as Kaylee. Now let's try going into a different workspace. Now that we're in my demo account, let's go in my testing center, go to SpongeBob's leads. I can go to my automation center and I can look up your name and you can see our structure that we saved is right here. And I can use that template, plug and play the information that's applicable to the board that I'm now on, and reuse that structure pretty easily. Hope that helps, Kaylee. All right, looking through some more questions. All right, I have a question from Sarah. Can we mirror sub-item statuses to parent item statuses? Let's see, we definitely can. I'm gonna go to a new workspace to demonstrate this. So whenever we have columns on the sub-item level, as you know, these columns are existing on a different level than our item level. We can copy the parent columns to a sub-item level as well. But when it comes to mirroring a sub-item status, or really the majority of sub-item columns to the item level, we can do so pretty easily, Sarah, by rolling up the summary on the parent item. So if we click the three dots of the column you want to show, we can click Show Summary on Parent Item, and this will give you a bit of a mirror column that mirrors all of the sub-item statuses onto the item level. So here we can see, let's say I have one item is stuck. It'll show a bit of a percentage on one out of two of the sub-items that are stuck. Maybe this is done. So it'll show a nice visual representation of what's the progress right now. And this same concept you can apply to other columns as well. So let's say we have a numbers column, for example. I can go ahead and write some numbers here. And let's say this is like an allocated budget. And each of these sub-items are new budget entries. I can even add a unit here. So I can add a $sign or a different currency or percentage or even a custom unit. So now let's say I wanted to have a total of these numbers onto my item level, which might be like January's budget, for example. All I would do, Sarah, is click these three dots, click Show Summary on Parent Item, and now the total of my numbers columns on the sub-item level will show right here in my item. And what's even nicer is that it updates automatically too. So let's say I have a new entry and I put in another number here. It updates with a $sign and also updates our summary as well. So I hope that helps. One other thing I wanted to mention, since you are intrigued by this sub-item item level relationship, we do have a special automation that allows you to automate the change of an item level status once all sub-items are marked as done. So let's go to our automation center. And if we look up sub-items here, you could see we have a special static automation here that we could use that allows you to automate, just like we said, the item status to done once all of the sub-items have also a status of done. So let's see what that looks like too. We have 2 that are done already. I'll mark this as done. So let's keep our eye right here. And I will mark this last one as done. And we'll see our summary updated and our status updated as well, marking our timeline. Awesome. Thanks for that question, Sarah. Really helpful. Okay, I'm going to look through some more questions. So I have a question from an anonymous attendee. As of today, if you update a view, is the master board tied to that view simultaneously updated, or do you have to perform double data entry? That's a great question. The answer is yes, the master board will be simultaneously updated. And let's take a look at how that can even happen. So let's say I have all of these items are marked as me, and these items aren't owned by anyone else. So let's actually open a new table view. And let's save a filter on this view to show only the items that are owned by Adney. And I'm going to save it to this view. And I'm going to rename this as well. And this is going to be Adney's to-do list. So now we can see we have our main table and we have Adney's to-do list. This is a separate view than our master board here. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to change all of these to working on it. And you can see in our main table that change is immediately made as well. It's going to happen immediately, any change that we make here. So if we even change the timeline, let's change these 2 timelines to something in August. We can go to our main table, we see that change to August was made as well. So definitely yes, all those changes will be simultaneously updated. No need for double data entry. Okay, looking through some more questions. I have a question from Maddie. Can we link sub-item dependencies to normal item level dependencies yet? And the answer is, at this time, unfortunately, we cannot. We can have dependencies that exist on the item level and dependencies that exist on the sub-item level, but those relationships will be separate from one another. So we can set dependencies, but it will only impact other sub-items. And then these will only impact other items. This is definitely a common point of feedback from our users. So I hope that there will be some updates here to make that possible in the future. Looking through some more questions. Okay, I have a question from Majalan or Mahalan. Let me know, Majalan or Mahalan, if I'm saying your name right or wrong, and what is right, what's wrong. I want to say it correctly. So I have a question from Majalan, and they're saying, will we be able to customize the integrations for WorkForms soon? For example, when form is submitted, notify X, set date to X, move item to group, or some other similar custom recipes. This is a wonderful question. So I'm going to go to a form of mine here, and let's walk through some options we have. So we do have a WorkForms app that allows you to use that trigger that you mentioned. When form is submitted, notify someone. When form is submitted, assign someone, move item to group, all the things you mentioned. But the caveat here is that these are static automations. They can't be customized. We can't use them in a builder, kind of similar to the automations, custom automations that you're used to already. So what I'd recommend is that we can actually accomplish everything that you see here in a custom automation. We're just going to use a different trigger. So because form submissions create items in our board, in our tables, we can use the trigger of when an item is created, which is exactly the same as when a form is submitted. So to answer your question, yes, we can definitely do this today. So you said when a form is submitted, notify somebody. And you also said set date to today. And you also want to move item to a certain group. So you can do all of this right now, and you can even play around with other custom automations, even put in integration blocks to send an email. And you can do it all just by changing your trigger to when an item is created, because any kind of form submission will create an item in your table and it will trigger that automation. I hope that clears things up for you. Okay, I'm going to look through some more automations here. And give me one moment while I take another sip of water. All right, I'm back. Thank you for your patience there. All right, I'm looking through some more questions to tackle here in these last 10 minutes or so. I have a question from Christy. Can custom messages be created for those who open the form after submissions that have closed? Okay. So basically, can we customize the page that you see, the thank you page, after we submit a form? We definitely can. So if I click edit form here, we go to customize, you'll see once we open this drop-down thank you screen, we'll have an option to see what exactly the user sees once they submit a form. So you can change this from thank you to you rock. You could even change the description to you will receive a confirmation email shortly. And you can also redirect them to a certain URL. You could even show a resubmit button if they want to submit another. You can hide this crown, trophy GIF if you want to. And what's nice is that you could even change the background. You can have different colors and really make it look prettier too if you want to. So that's another addition too, if you want to play around with this. But yes, Christy, we definitely can change the thank you screen to say whatever we want to say and redirect them to another page. And on this same theme, you will receive a confirmation email shortly. I did see a couple questions come in on how we can send in or rather automate a confirmation email once a submitter submits a form. So I'll show you how we can do that. So let's say we have this form here, and whenever someone submits a form, we want them to have a copy of all of their messages, or rather their responses to the form. I only have one random question here, so that'll save us some time. But let's look at how we can set up this automation. So like we said with Modulin's question before, instead of when a form is submitted, we can use when an item is created, and we can then have it to send an email to someone. And something that's crucial here is in order to do this, we'd need to add an email column to our board. And this email column is then going to be added to our form as well. So we can click edit form, and then we can show the question, because any columns that you add immediately will be hidden. So we can click show, make it required, and we can have them to please write their email here. And now when we go to our automations, we can do when a form is submitted to then send an email using either Gmail or Outlook. I'll use Gmail. We can connect your account. Then for someone, we'll choose our email column. So we'll automate to whichever email address the form submitter inputted. And then we can customize the subject and body of the email too. So you can say, hi, and item name can refer to the name of the submitter, and I can show you how to adjust that as well. I could say, hi, item name. Thanks for submitting. And we can also say in our body of the email, hi, item name. So you might say, hi, Adney. Thank you for your form response. Here are your answers, which we received. And then you can write each question. And this is where these variables come into play. So each of these variables are tied to a different piece of column data in your board. And as you all know, all of our forms and the questions in our forms are all tied to columns in our board. So each question populates into a column. So that email question populates into our email column. That random option 1 question populates into a status column. So we can click these variables, which will pull the data which they inputted into this email. So I can write Q1, this status, and Q2, this email. And you can write thanks. So now, as soon as someone submits a form, they will receive an automatic response to their email address, pending that they wrote it correctly. Keep that in mind. And they'll have a response of their answers. So it'll look something like this. Option 1. Also, here is how we can add the item name to be the user's name. You can go to Customize, go to Monday Settings. We want to check off Include Name Question in form. So I can check that off, and that will allow you for users to write their name in this section here. And that will also help out our email too. So let's go to Preview. And let's write Add Me. Put an option, and I'll put my email too. You rock. You'll receive a confirmation email shortly. Thanks, Monday. Go to my main table and you'll see that I have a record of the email that was logged. And it said, hi, Adney. Thanks for submitting. Here are the answers, option 1 and adney@monday.com. There you have it. I hope that helps. So we do have 5 more minutes left. So in these 5 minutes, I want to walk through some resources that all of you have access to and that you'll find very useful following this webinar. So if we click this help section here, we'll go into a bunch of robust options for you to explore post this webinar when you want to find answers, when you want to dive deeper into some features. That first one is going to be our knowledge base, of course. This is a library of articles which we've created for you and videos going over different features, different use cases, different ways to troubleshoot, different limitations. All the documentation you can imagine is going to be right here. So we can look up whatever we'd like to look up, like let's say work forms, and we can find out all about different articles that we can really look at, dive into, or maybe even our Gmail integration. And we can find our Gmail integration article right here to look at. In addition to that, we also have our community page. Our community page is where you can collaborate with thousands of other Monday.com users, our certified partners, third-party developers, and even members of our CS team and our developer team, our product team. This is an open forum for folks to come in, talk about different use cases, make announcements like an NYC community event, and most importantly, our community page is a place where you can submit feature requests. So here's where you can put in feature requests, put in that feedback that I've been seeing in the chat section. Other folks can come in and they can reply to it. They can upvote it. They can also +1 it, vote towards it. And once any kind of feature receives a certain amount of votes, I believe 100 is our threshold, we will release some kind of feedback on that feature as well. As you could see, this one actually ended up getting released. Awesome. Now, lastly, I do want to talk about our Academy section. So our Academy section is also a beautiful place where you could level up your Monday skills with free courses, webinars, some trainings, and really become a Monday product expert. So let's say you're an admin, for example, and you really want to learn more about how to leverage being an admin and really utilize all of our features to the best ability. We do have a course for Monday admins that only takes about 30 minutes. So you can jump into this free course, take 30 minutes of your day, and really see how you can take control of your account, see the progress of your team, set restrictions, and see what features are available to you as an admin based on your plan. And I wanted to mention one more thing. I wanted to remind you that we also have a Facebook community. So I will go ahead and paste this link in our chat as well. And we also have a new feature section in the Monday Academy. So I'll paste this link here as well. So the recording of this webinar will be there, as well as all of the other new features from past months. And our community page, it does have a section for new features in addition to those feature requests. So I'll paste that here as well. But otherwise, thank you all so much. I really appreciate how engaged all of you have been so far. This has been a lovely webinar, and it's been a delight. So thank you for walking through these new features with me. Have a beautiful rest of your Wednesday, a nice week ahead, and all the best. We'll see you next month.